Last night on MasterChef Australia,
This is going to be one of the best weeks of your life.
the top 8 amateur cooks began a massive week in London.
Awesome.
And in their very first challenge, Callum's pastry impressed, winning him a private masterclass with Jamie Oliver.
This is the best reward I could have ever asked for.
Tonight, they face their toughest challenge yet as they prepare a feast fit for a king.
This is the pinnacle of your trip to United Kingdom.
4 teams must recreate a dish by culinary magician Heston Blumenthal.
A simple little number.
I'm just in awe.
And the best dish will win one cook a shot at immunity.
There's a lot riding on this for us.
Can the amateurs meet the exacting standards of one of the world's greatest chefs?
If you're not nervous, you just don't know what you're in for. Let the feast begin.
Just even coming to London has been an amazing experience for me. I've never been to London, I've never even been to Europe, so it's a really big dream come true for me, and I just want to make the most of this week.
Yesterday was probably one of the best days of my life, going to meet Jamie Oliver and going to the World's Top 50 Best Restaurant Awards. I'm not quite sure what we've got in store for us today. We've got chef lights on, so it might be something in a restaurant. So I think there's some big things to come.
We're driving up to this beautiful estate, and there's, I guess you could call it a house, but it is 4 stories high and 200 meters long. It's just gorgeous.
It's certainly a grand environment. It looks like a scene out of a period drama that you would have seen. We could be slaving away in the kitchen for some royalty.
We walk into the marble room and we see the judges just looking quite dapper.
Welcome to the beautiful Hatfield House here in Hertfordshire. There's tremendous history to this place. The Royal Palace of Hatfield was built on these very grounds in 1497. Elizabeth I spent much of her childhood here, and it's here she found out the news that she would become the next Queen of England. It's a special place steeped in tradition and history. And today, you're going to create a little bit of history for yourself.
I know what's coming on this challenge, and for me, this is the pinnacle of your trip to United Kingdom. Your challenge today is to prepare a feast, an opulent, extravagant, awe-inspiring feast. What you'll be doing is preparing some very special signature dishes from one of the world's very best chefs. This guy breaks the rules. He's a culinary magician. He has a 3 Michelin star restaurant in this country. He owns the Fat Duck. He is Heston Blumenthal.
I'm Heston Blumenthal. I opened the Fat Duck in 1995, and we started with myself and a pot washer in the kitchen. Now we have 47 chefs. We have 85 staff, and we feed 42 customers in one sitting. I try and bring the multi-sensory element into my cooking, so the use of sounds and smells, as well as obviously taste and flavour and sight. So to be able to bring all that together, you have the potential to create a really special emotion.
Heston, welcome to our humble but temporary home. Tell us a little bit about your culinary style.
I think it's quite relevant to you guys because I'm self-taught. Make that bit quite clear from the beginning. As a teenager, I was taken to a 3 Michelin-star restaurant in France, in Provence, and it was an experience that made me want to cook. And I remember so many sensory images of this experience, from silly things like the noise of the feet of the waiting staff crunching on the gravel, the sommelier with his handlebar moustache and his leather apron, and the cheese trolley was the size of a chariot. They were carving legs of lamb at the table, pouring sauces into soufflés, the chink of the glasses. That was it. At that moment, I knew I wanted to cook.
Jonathan, this is one of your culinary heroes. How do you feel?
Oh, I think as Heston talks, like, this is a realisation of my dream. Yeah. I mean, when I ate at the Fat Duck, I think you just got your 2nd Michelin star, so it's quite some time ago.
A few years ago now.
Yeah, and like, I haven't stopped talking about that meal that I had, and I just, to cook with Heston's like, I don't know. Like, I just wanted to, you know, I don't know. I think it's really difficult to describe what I'm feeling. This is, without a doubt, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to cook with Heston and for Heston.
Right, guys, now it's time to do a little bit of work. Soon you'll all head down to the kitchen with Heston, where he'll show you 4 of his signature dishes. You're going to recreate them today as a team of 2. And let me just tell you, they're complex. You'll have 2 hours to cook and plate up those intricate dishes. Heston will work beside you and keep a close eye on each and every one of you. Gary, Heston and I will sit down to enjoy the feast, and we'll decide which one of you is the standout performer of today. Whoever is deemed the winner, massive prize to compete tomorrow against the celebrity chef for, of course, that little gold pin that Adam already has to gain immunity.
Okay, guys, for your challenge, in front of me, I have 4 dishes that you're going to be preparing. So the first dish under this cloche is going to be cooked by Callum and Aaron.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, do you want to step up?
Totally. I think that you'd have to be insane not to be nervous when Heston Blumenthal pulls out some of his signature dishes with the idea of you recreating it. If you're not nervous, you just don't know what you're in for.
I think I must be confused because all I'm seeing is a bowl of fruit.
It's called meat fruit.
That bowl of fruit, that ain't no bowl of fruit.
These mandarins are not mandarins. And these grapes are not grapes.
Brilliant.
It is a chicken liver parfait. Oh. Coated in a gel made from mandarin skin. And then the grapes are a meat paste made from habugo ham. And the skin is a grape jelly.
You can see by looking at them that the mandarins aren't actually mandarins, but the grapes, I was really surprised. The grapes looked exactly like grapes. It was really impressive.
So next step, you've got to taste this.
Wow.
So then have a taste on its own. It is so light.
My expectations were not let down. Without a doubt, the most amazing food I've ever put in my mouth in my whole life.
Pick a grape. you know what? I'm not even sure if you've got the real one or not. I've even confused myself.
I think he really loves to trick the senses so that you're picking up a grape, you're expecting it to be sweet, but you put it in your mouth and it's a savoury meat dish. And that sort of surprise, that sort of spectacle is really very much what Heston's food's about.
So the second dish is going to be cooked by Joanne and Adam. And it is snail porridge.
This is one of Heston's earliest signature dishes. I've read the recipe in his book a few times, but I've never even thought about trying it. This is going to be interesting.
People, when they first hear the word snail porridge, think this is a bit strange. How can you make porridge with snails? It is a kind of very light risotto made with oats. Absolute key with this is it has to be very delicate, not gloopy. You don't want any gluten from the oats.
There's so much going on. It doesn't look like it visually, but once, you know, you start eating, you taste the parsley, the garlic, the fennel, the walnut dressing.
It's about creating a harmony. That's really important.
You could probably hardly tell anything that's in there, but you taste it and every single ingredient is there.
It's bizarre, to be honest. Like, how does he make food that can taste of every flavour that's in it, but it's all together in one dish? I need to learn how to cook like this.
Okay, so the third dish you're going to be cooking is going to be cooked by Claire and Jonathan. And this dish...
Oh my God.
is a simple little number.
Oh my God.
It's called taffety tart. And it is based on a recipe from the Stuart period, around about 1650. It didn't look like that in the Stuart period, I'm sure, but it is, at its essence, it is the combination of apples, fennel, and rose petals. And these sheets of wafer-thin pastry are called arlette. And it's puff pastry that's been rolled out so finely with the icing sugar and literally caramelised.
The thing that concerns me the most is really how fine it is. I'm not really used to or good at doing things ultra fine. That'll be very difficult to make.
There is an element of illusion that will be accompanying this dish. That is white chocolate and salted butter caramel.
Oh my God! You're joking. It's amazing.
Shit. I think Jono and I are both just in a state of shock. So I think we're both just standing there looking at this thing thinking, how on earth are we going to do that in 2 hours?
So when we serve this at the restaurant, take one of these, a red hot poker.
There's often this moment with his dishes where you just think, how has he done that? How has he, firstly, come up with the idea, secondly, executed it, and thirdly, made you believe something totally different?
Just bite and just have it go on. There you go. That's what you should be doing at feast.
Anyone else?
It's beautiful to look at and incredible to taste. It's amazing, but it's terrifying at the same time. While there's no elimination, there's so much to lose. Cooking badly in front of someone like him would just be the end of the world.
Last dish. So, Marion and Alvin. This is called the sound of the sea.
And this is another really famous signature dish of Heston's, and I can't believe that Alvin and I are going to get to cook it.
Wow. We've got here the edible sand, which is a mixture of tapioca, miso oil, grape nuts, ground waffle cone, crystallized seaweed. We've got 3 different types of cured seafood. There's a mackerel, halibut cured in rooibos tea, and we've got some kingfish. And there's 3 different types of seaweed. There's kombu, we've got some hijiki with a ponzu dressing, and we've got some codium. And then on here, there's different vegetables. We've got a form of wild samphire and sea purslane, which is a lettuce which has a really refreshing crunch.
There looks to be about 20 different things on the plate. This is going to be really difficult.
Well, the key part to this dish, and the reason it's called the sound of the sea, so we serve it in the restaurant with a seashell, and inside the seashell we have an iPod that we've recorded the noise of the waves lapping up against the shore.
It's really interesting how Heston's transformed the way of eating, which, you know, which makes him really the culinary magician.
Oh, wow.
At the beach. It's pretty powerful stuff. Kind of have to try it to believe it.
We've had a few people cry in the restaurant with this dish. But that shows the power of the senses.
It's amazing. I actually feel warmer, like I have been at the beach.
Yeah, that's right.
We've seen all the dishes, we know what we're cooking, now it's time to start.
I look around this kitchen and I think that maybe for 400 or 500 years, there's been some toil and trouble in here. I think you've fallen down the rabbit hole. I think you're living your dream. Let's hope it's not toil and trouble.
Your time starts now.
It's time to start cooking the snail porridge.
So this is the courtbouillon, these are the snails. Lots of parsley.
Yep.
The oats.
The first thing we've got to do is just make sure that we've got that entire recipe down. I just get the recipe out and I'm staring at it and reading through the whole thing.
Just remember the taste and the elements and the textures and what it looked like.
Yes.
Just take enough time to read through the recipes.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Throughout the challenge, Heston's going to be on hand to give us some advice, and he's going to have a few chefs from his restaurant there as well to sort of hold our hands and walk us through the process. Sometimes in my kitchen at home, if there's someone watching me cooking, I get really nervous and it kind of irritates me. Now, imagine if that was the best chef in the world looking over your shoulder and you're making his food for him. This is a level of pressure we haven't seen in this competition before, and I'm terrified.
To really think about how each part of this recipe relates to what you saw and what you tasted.
Yes, yeah.
It'll make it much easier. Then you can formulate your mise en place.
Okay, excellent. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Heston.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Today, Aaron and I are making meat fruit. I think the most efficient way to divvy this up is to just do one fruit each. So I'm going to do the mandarin and Aaron's going to do the grape.
At the moment, I'm just making the mandarin meat. So the parfait has been pre-made for us, a chicken liver parfait. I need to spoon it into these moulds quite generously and get them into the freezer as soon as I can. Because once they're frozen, these spherical halves are going to make one mandarin each, and then they're going to be dipped in jelly. So we've got a lot to do in the next 2 hours.
I really hope the nerves don't get the better of me today, and I really would love to get something on the plate that resembles a mandarin or is close to Heston's.
Oh, that's so big. The very first thing I need to do is to get all our fish prepared because they need to get into the fridge and cured. Each of them is going to take at least an hour and a half to cure. This is one ugly-looking fish, Alvin. Halibut we don't get in Australia, and I've never even seen this fish before, let alone filleted it. The last time I filleted a fish, I ended up in elimination, so I'm more than a little bit nervous about filleting a fish I've never seen before.
So you only need the one fillet.
Yeah, and so that side would be better?
Just take this side off.
I get a knife and I make a cut all the way down the backbone of the fish. And then what I do is just sort of use my knife to just scrape along the bones of the fish so that I'm pulling the fish fillet off the bones without sort of mushing it all up. Once I've got the fillet towards the fins of the fish, then I can just cut through and I've got my whole fillet. Is that all right?
I'm very impressed with your fish skills, fishmongery.
Thank you. This is Heston Blumenthal, 3 Michelin star chef, someone I never even thought I'd get to meet, let alone cook in the kitchen with, and I can't believe he's impressed with the way I'm working in the kitchen.
With 30 minutes down, you've got 90 minutes to go. I can feel the energy pushing through the roof of this old English kitchen.
I don't want you to panic, but Heston's watching every move. But remember, keep your eye on the prize. You want to face off against that celebrity chef and get that immunity pin. Complicated recipes, you look bamboozled, slow start, but you know what? Ramp it up now because you don't want to let Heston down.
We have 2 hours to cook one of Heston Blumenthal's signature dishes. We'll be working in pairs, but we're going to be judged individually.
Do you cook any of these dishes at home?
No, it's too complicated to cook at home.
How long have you been, you know, working on these types of dishes for?
Well, for example, the Sound of the Sea took 3 years to get that dish on the menu.
Wow.
Taffety tart took about a year. I mean, some of these dishes are years' worth of developing.
There's no doubt about it. These dishes are something we've never done before on this show and are absolutely going to test our guys and girls to the limit.
There are a couple of things which are really challenging about this dish. The pastry, which is just impossibly thin.
It's got to be rolled to that thin. It's ridiculous. How does one roll pastry that thin?
The other element is the gels and the sorbet, all of which need to chill. So everything needs to be done at once.
To make the puff pastry wafers, I've really got to take the puff pastry and roll it out with icing sugar until it's wafer thin, or parchment thin, that you can see through it.
Puff pastry is not exactly what is expected. It's thin, but it's not exactly as thin as it can go. But we're running out of time, so we're going to get it as far as it can go, and then we've got to go with it. Otherwise, we're not going to have any dish at all whatsoever.
At the moment, the only danger I can think of is that the pastry's going to be too thick, but hopefully it'll still work on the dish. Right. While the pastry's in the oven, I start on the white chocolate candle. To make the candle, put a bit of white chocolate, what's going to be the base, on some acetate, and set the ring mould into it. Then let that set. Once that's set, fill the ring mould up with the white chocolate again. And slowly pour it out so it sort of coats the outside and you get a nice thick coating of white chocolate. Put that back in the fridge and let that completely set now.
The snail porridge is one of Heston's signature dishes. It's like the dish that everybody knows.
The parsley's got to be chopped super fine because when it goes into the Thermomix, it's using a paddle, not a blade.
This is snail porridge, so obviously there's snails involved. I haven't cooked with snails before, but I know that there's some parts of it that really shouldn't be eaten. I've never cleaned a snail before, so I get Jockey from Heston's Kitchen over to come and show me how to do it.
OK, there's this bit here you want, like the tongue. So you just pull this bit back and just, like, cut that bit off. OK. And that's your snail. This is the bit you discard. OK?
Thank you.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Our dish is Sound of the Sea, and my next job is to make the components for the sand mix. And there's 3 components there: the grape nuts, the anchovy, and the panko crumbs that I need to fry up till golden brown.
This is such a cool way of cooking though, isn't it?
I actually get on to the body of the sand, which is multidextrin, which is actually made out of tapioca. It's sort of a natural chemical, I guess, that absorbs liquid and is hopefully going to look a bit like sand at the end of it all.
Is it working?
Not sure. I mix the multidextrin with some flavoured oils and also a little bit of colour to make it look a bit more like sand.
Oh, the smell of it? That's cool.
And it starts to kind of look clumpy, and then all of a sudden it looks like sand, which is really exciting.
Ladies and gentlemen, tick-tock, chop-chop, you've got 1 hour to go.
I think for the final product, I'm only going to need about 3 mandarins. So for that reason, I technically only need to make 6 halves. To join the spheres together, I need to get half of the sphere in my hand, warm up the flat surface with the warmth of my fingers, and then join the 2 together. Once they're together, there's going to be a seam, so you need to work your fingers around the outside and try and get rid of that seam. Otherwise, if you leave the seam there, when you dip it in the jelly later, it's going to fill with jelly.
This is taking forever.
The mincer, as soon as I get on it, it's problems. I mean, serious, serious problems. For one, it's not secure.
Oh, come on. This thing, grinding this meat twice, is going to take forever.
So as soon as I start putting any pressure on it whatsoever, it moves.
Oh, come on.
The vise comes totally off. It's too hard to reattach, so I've got to grab the hand mincer in one hand.
Oh, this thing.
stuff it in with my fingers and start motoring it around like that by hand, which must look ridiculous.
I've lost so much time on this and I don't want to let Callum down or myself down. So I'm just taking matters into my own hands and just doing it anyway.
I would think that Heston would be looking at me right now with just envy. Envy that he doesn't have a chef like me.
Just give me a sec. Oh, I think this might have burned.
With 40 minutes to go, Jono pulls the pastry out of the oven.
Behind, hot, 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 hot.
Like it's completely unusable.
Heston walks over and has a look at it. Not really up to standard. It's not good enough.
It's very thick. You've burnt the outside and the inside's not done enough.
Yeah.
You've kind of got to see this bit here. That looks okay. You've got a little square you can use, but that's not good enough for the dessert. Have you got another one in?
No, I don't. We're going to roll it out now.
I would say I'd get cracking if I were you.
I think mentally I don't have time to do it again, but I don't really have another choice.
Now that the halibut has been in the fridge, I need to pull it out and get the second curing mixture on. So I wash off the base cure on the halibut fillet and I dry it off and then I put it into its second curing mix, which also involves sandwiching the fillets in seaweed, a sort of moist kombu.
How you going? You good?
Yeah, good. And then I wrap that in cling film, back in the fridge, and that needs to cure again.
Adam, what's going on there? Is that the parsley butter?
Parsley butter.
You know, I've eaten this dish, so I know, and recently, so I know how good it is, and I know how delicate and beautiful that snail porridge is.
Yeah.
And if that parsley butter's not right, disaster.
Yeah.
The parsley butter's been in the Thermomix for approximately 5 minutes. Adam decides to do a test run with the porridge. It's looking good.
Yeah. I'm happy with it.
How are you guys doing?
Heston comes over and I say, Heston, is this right? He's like,
no. You've got fat spitting out of there. You see, if you look at this,
So will you have to add water to that?
it's starting to split out. Can you see? It's not fully emulsified.
Right.
you can just see this glisten of oil, which wasn't there in Heston's dish. This is porridge, it's not oily porridge.
Just remember the consistency of the porridge when you tasted it.
This is not a simple dish in any way. At this point, it becomes really clear that I've underestimated this dish.
Can't make this again.
So this is my mandarin jelly. In here I've got mandarin puree, glucose, mandarin oil, paprika essence, and a buttload of gelatin.
It's almost time to dip my spheres. I get my jelly out, and I've left it in the fridge a little bit too long.
It's quite viscous, it's rather thick.
You definitely need to give it a beat. You might need to pass it.
Okay.
Because you can't dip like that. That's not ready to dip yet.
I'm a little bit embarrassed getting something that I think is normally quite simple wrong and having Heston come over and tell me. But at the same time, you know, you don't get advice from one of the greatest chefs in the world every day. So I'm really listening carefully to everything he says.
We're in all sorts of trouble here.
Yep.
"15 minutes to go before you finish plating up your first ever Heston Blumenthal dish."
We have time.
Making the second one, I roll the pastry out again, fast.
Looks okay. It looks pretty thin to me.
I know, but to these guys, it's not thin enough. Back in the oven. I'm actually really worried here because I forgot to put baking paper between the top baking tray and the pastry.
At this point, Aaron's struggling for time a bit. Making the meat mixture took longer than he thought it was going to.
Come on, Grape.
Getting the jelly to the right temperature is just vital. If the jelly's, too hot, it's not going to, cling to the outside of the meat properly. It's just going to kind of, drain off.
Just don't think I'm going to get time for a second coat.
If it's too cold, it's not going to form that beautiful skin of the grape and replicate the grape.
It's too cold. Damn it.
This is not going to plan at all. So I've managed to get one coat of jelly on about 3 or 4 grapes.
These are terrible, man.
When you don't do one of Heston Blumenthal's recipes to the T, you have problems. And I'm going to have, 3 meatballs.
I'm sure every dish is hard, but this just seems to be overwhelming, seriously. With the second pastry in the oven now, I'm back to the candle. I've got to get the candle finished. Once the main part's set, I push it out of the mould, and essentially what I've got is a cup shape of white chocolate. I get a serrated knife and scratch the white chocolate outside just to give it some texture. And then with a little piping bag, pipe on the drip marks of what would be around a nice thick candle. I take the second pastry out of the oven. Oh my God. Without the baking paper, it's stuck directly onto the sugar. I forgot to put the bloody thing on. I'm disappointed that the pastry isn't going to be the standard that Heston is expecting on the plate, as would come out of the Fat Duck kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
Gary.
Is this the second attempt, this one, right?
Yes.
Yep, what happened? It's supposed to be really, really thin.
I know.
So thin, in fact, it dissolves on the tongue. Is it right?
It's certainly not Heston thin. It's disappointing when something like this comes out of the oven and you want to impress someone. Right. Yeah.
We reblended our parsley puree. It's good. It doesn't have as much of that grittiness as we had before. It's actually pretty tasty.
Okay, get it out. George and I are worried. Heston's worried. Are you going to get anything on the plate in time?
That's right, guys. You got 5 minutes to go. You need to rock and roll.
I need to get these mandarins finished, so I'm hurriedly dipping them.
It's such a fiddly dish to plate. If we don't get the plating right and the aesthetics right, there's no way we can win this challenge.
I'm sort of starting to lay the sand on the dish, and it's going to be quite a rushed job.
We'll have to use this one.
Oh, this broke. No.
I mean, this is the time when you're starting to step up, and I'm stepping backwards. Really disappointed in myself.
That's it. Your head's on the block. You've got 10 seconds to go.
We're absolutely frantic there. I think there's 4 hands around a bowl that's about this big.
A little, I didn't put the whole lot.
That's a bit too much fennel.
Okay, hang on, let me just get this grape on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. Time's up. Well done, guys. Good stuff, Callum. Good on you, mate. So the teams have cooked their dishes and we're ready to taste in this beautiful hall. And Queen Elizabeth I held her first council as queen in 1558 within these very walls. It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is fascinating. It's been a fascinating day. Heston, amateur cooks cooking your food. How do you think they've gone?
This is the first time that I've supervised anybody other than one of my own chefs cooking one of my recipes. But I think they rose to the challenge.
They did. Fantastic. Let the feast begin.
Thanks, mate.
Callum and I walk in and present our dishes. Callum's got these great-looking mandarins. Me, however, I've got, instead of meat grapes, I've got the grapes of wrath.
Right, I guess it's time to taste. Well, I'm excited. Let's tuck in.
So looking at the mandarin first, I think the appearance is pretty good. For the first attempt, I think it's a damn fine job, I would say.
Thank you.
The grape, the ham stuffing, there's nothing wrong with that at all. A great job there.
Thank you.
Obviously, it's the jelly got too cold, started to solidify, and you were trying to coat it while it was going lumpy. So that's why you've resulted in looks like a slight hybrid.
Yeah.
If I was him, I would never, ever let anyone like me touch his food again. And I think that he should actually go to my place, take his cookbook back, and just say, "You're not worthy."
When Joe and I are taking our dish up to the judges, it's really nerve-wracking. I mean, this is serving arguably the best chef in the world his own food.
Gary and I were fortunate enough to taste this dish at the Fat Duck only days ago. So it's going to be interesting to see where it fits. Time to taste.
Let's do it.
The colour's good. The snail's still got that juicy garlic butter note when you bite into them. You have captured the parsley and the garlic flavours. The parsley could have been doing with a little bit more processing, but I still would be very happy to eat that.
In terms of the parsley not being, you know, pureed or blended enough, that's pretty damn good for the dish. So I think you've done a good job.
Walking into the tasting room, you just sort of think, oh, this is it. This is the moment of truth. Will they like it? Will they not?
So let's go to the seaside.
Love to. Curing that fish has to be bang on. And for me, that piece of fish was beautiful. You guys nailed it. Congratulations.
The big challenge with this dish is bringing everything together, as I said to you, and creating a balance. And I think you managed to do it. Well done.
How does it feel to hear those comments from Heston?
So amazing. I felt so sick before I came in here.
Seasick?
Yeah, seasick.
Is that in this whole competition, I feel like I've been climbing Everest. And meeting Heston today and working with Heston, I've just hit the peak.
Claire, Jonathan, Heston's one of your idols. What's your biggest fear, having put that dessert up now you're looking at it?
Really, I just hope that Heston thinks that we've done the dish justice.
I've got to hand it to you. that dish is the one that I would least like to be standing next to George trying to reproduce. Okay? So that's just from me. I reckon you were up against it from the beginning.
That pastry, it wasn't as thin as it should have been. It really is the key to the dish. And we spent months getting that right. Months. I wasn't going to tell you that at the beginning, because that would have sent you over the edge.
I think we're both glad that you didn't.
What you guys did to get something out to us today, I have to say, I think it was nothing short of miraculous. I really thought that at one point you weren't going to have anything up there. As I was walking up to you, I saw that tray in your hand, the tray of pastry, and it was black, and I felt for you. But you pushed on. I think it's just fantastic. So you should be really proud of yourselves.
We had the difficult task of picking the best dish, the best interpretation, the best recreation.
Let's not forget why you're here today. If you win today, you'll go into our London Celebrity Chef Challenge and hopefully win immunity.
All of you did really, really well today. But there's one dish that stood out above everybody else's. And that dish was Sound of the Sea, prepared by Alvin and Marion.
We're so happy that we can create Heston Blumenthal's dish worthy of him judging it as a winning dish. We feel just bloated with pride.
This was very difficult. All of you guys had something about you today that was a real quality, and I was amazed. But the Sound of the Sea was the dish that was the closest I felt to what we serve at the Fat Duck, and I was very impressed by the way that you put together the ingredients.
Ultimately, there can only be one winner from today's challenge. Heston, would you like to reveal who that winner is?
Okay, the winner from today's challenge is Marion.
I am absolutely floored that I have won, and I've done it. I can't believe it. And now I have another chance to face a celebrity chef.
But I would have to say, Marion, just watching you in the kitchen, the way that you moved, the way that you thought about what you were doing, the way that you prepared that fish, a fish that you've never seen before, was incredibly impressive. You are going to go very, very far indeed. So, well done.
Aaron, is there anything you'd like to say on behalf of the contestants to Heston?
I'm sure everyone will agree this has been the highlight of the entire competition and a dream come true, and the stuff that you take away is the stuff that lasts for the rest of your life, and there are very few times in your life when you get those moments, so you hang on to them. For me, so special.
Wow. You know, seeing you guys in the kitchen and seeing the looks on your faces now, I have to say, it makes me proud to be a chef. This is why I get out of bed in the morning, and you have just made me remember that. Thank you so much. You've been inspirational. Incredible.
Yeah!
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Heston. Thank you so much.
There we go.
Tomorrow night on MasterChef Australia,
This is the part where the nerves really kick in.
Marion faces off against Michelin-starred chef Martin Blumenthal.
We can all talk the talk, but can you walk the walk?
Does the amateur have what it takes to outcook the pro at his own signature dish?
It looks like an egg and soldiers.
Can Marion beat the celebrity chef and win immunity twice?
Marion, a little bit of advice.
Hurry up.
Standing in her way, MasterChef UK judges Greg Wallace and John Turode.
Well, you said it was going to be a difficult one today.
It's close, there's no doubt about it.